Welcome to Emeralds from Eternity. If this is your first time here, then settle in and open your heart, because together we're about to dive beneath the surface of ordinary life and retrieve the gems that timelessness has hidden below. Today I have a different kind of video for you. Something I really enjoy doing is reading stories and mythology and trying to uncover the deeper symbolism and meaning behind the story, particularly from a depth psychology perspective. So today, we're going to be traveling east to the land of India, where we'll be exploring one of the most famous stories in Hindu mythology, the creation of Ganesh. Even if you've never studied Hinduism or heard this myth before, this story offers a surprisingly clear psychological map of how a boy becomes a man. And before we begin, I want to speak directly to you as the audience. This video is especially for men. This myth describes the psychological journey every man must walk if he wants to become an autonomous, grounded, and wise adult, not just biologically, but psychologically. For women watching, this story is equally important for you too. It gives insight into the inner transformation men must undergo and often struggle through silently. Understanding this myth can help you better understand the men in your life, whether they are husbands, partners, sons, brothers, or even close friends. So now let's start with the basic story told in simple terms. Again, I'm not going to get into detail. We'll just keep it simple for the sake of this video. According to the mythology, the goddess Parvati creates a young boy out of clay from her own body. She gives him life and treats him as her son. One day, she asks him to guard the doorway to the home while she bathes. His instructions are simple. Do not let anyone in. The boy takes this responsibility very seriously. Then one day, Shiva arrives. Shiva is one of the central deities in Hinduism, representing destruction, transformation, and pure consciousness. In this story, he is Parvati's husband. So Shiva attempts to enter the home. Mind you, this is his home. But the boy, having no idea who Shiva is, blocks his path. The boy refuses to go against the command given to him by his mother. Shiva then becomes frustrated, then angry, and ultimately confronts him. In this clash, Shiva cuts off the boy's head. Parvati then emerges, sees this, and is devastated. She demands that Shiva restore the boy's life. Shiva agrees. He sends his attendants to bring back the head of the first creature they encounter, which happens to be an elephant. Shiva attaches the elephant's head to the boy's body, revives him, and grants him a new position within the cosmic order. Now, this is really important. The boy becomes Ganesh, the remover of obstacles and the god of wisdom. Not only is he a symbol of wisdom, but Shiva appoints him as the leader of his followers, placing Ganesh at the forefront of all beginnings and making him the one who must be honored before any major undertaking. So that's a simplified version of the story. Now let's explore what this story means from a Jungian psychological lens, especially as it applies to the journey of men. In a Jungian reading, this myth is a symbolic depiction of masculine psychological development. Every character represents an archetypal force inside the male psyche. So starting with the boy as the early ego fused with the mother, right? So at the beginning, the boy represents the boy ego, which Jung describes as still fused with the mother archetype. This is not about one's literal mother. It is the psychic environment of dependence, emotional fusion, and identity shaped entirely by maternal values or expectations. Many men begin life here, and many remain stuck here well into adulthood, and arguably even forever. The boy's obedience symbolizes a psyche that has not yet differentiated. He follows rules without context. He cannot assert his own standpoint. He is loyal, but his loyalty is blind. He lives within the protective womb of the maternal field. So the next character is Shiva. Shiva symbolizes the father archetype, right? So in the story, Shiva arrives. Jung would describe Shiva as the archetypal father, the force of consciousness, clarity, and differentiation. Shiva represents the masculine principle of saying no, setting boundaries, asserting direction, and separating oneself from the unconscious. So when Shiva cuts off the boy's head, this symbolizes the collapse of the immature ego, the end of the identity formed through dependence on the mother archetype. For many men, this moment comes through crisis, like a heartbreak, a breakup, career failure, loss of support, humiliation, confrontation with responsibility, psychological isolation, and the list goes on. It often feels like a symbolic death. The man loses who he thought he was. And if you listening have been through this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Next, we have Parvati. So Parvati's grief represents the psyche's emotional resistance to male differentiation. The maternal archetype does not want to lose the boy. A part of every man also resists the transition. Remaining dependent feels safe and familiar, even if it limits growth. So Shiva does not restore the boy's original head. He gives him the head of an elephant. And this is a powerful Jungian symbol, as it represents instinctual wisdom, memory, intelligence, solid perception, and a grounded, patient mind. This is the emergence of the mature male ego, no longer fused with the mother complex, but aligned with a deeper inner authority, what Jung called the self, with a capital S. The man is not returning to who he was. He is being rebuilt from a deeper psychic layer. Finally, we have Ganesh as the integrated adult male psyche. Right? So when Shiva appoints Ganesh as the leader of his followers, this corresponds to a man stepping into responsibility and inner authority. He is no longer the child guarding the door for someone else. He becomes the one who others follow, the one who leads, the one who clears the path. In Jungian terms, this marks the end of the immature ego, the integration of the father archetype, the formation of the grounded masculine principle, and the beginning of the individuation process. The man becomes capable of navigating life not through obedience or rebellion, but through discernment. He becomes psychologically adult. So before we end, I invite you to reflect on where you see yourself in this story. If you're a man, are you still guarding the door, loyal to an identity shaped by childhood expectations? Have you gone through a crisis that felt like a psychological decapitation? Are you resisting the transition or stepping into a wiser version of yourself? And are you beginning to form a new mind, one grounded in responsibility and clarity? If you're a woman, how does this myth help you understand the men in your life more clearly? Can you see where they might be in this journey of differentiation and maturity? Feel free to share your reflections in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say here. And if you found this exploration helpful, consider liking the video and subscribing. It supports the channel and helps these conversations reach more people. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.